In this episode of True Crime Black, we look at the disappearance of a young black girl. At just the age of 2 years old, she disappeared without any trace. The last time she was seen was by both of her parents in her backyard. Strangely, they both have different recollections of the circumstances. How could she have gone missing right under their noses? With that said, let's get started. Myra Lewis was known to have a contagious smile that she generously shared with everyone she encountered. At just 2 years old, she resided in rural Camden, Mississippi, alongside her loving parents, 2 siblings, and her faithful black lab companion named Midnight. The bond between Myra and Midnight was evident to all, as they had grown up together during her first 2 years of life. Many considered Midnight to be her dog, devoted to protecting and adoring the little girl. Being a typical 2-year-old, Myra possessed an insatiable curiosity and a deep love for playing outdoors. On the fateful day of March 1, 2014, she engaged in her usual outdoor activities, frolicking in the yard with her sister. It was a routine they had repeated countless times before. Sadly, this time would be different. And that difference would change the lives of Myra's family and community as a whole, leaving them still with an unanswered question. What happened to Myra Lewis? Born on November 30, 2011, Myra Lewis entered the world as the cherished daughter of Erica Ledger and Gregory Lewis. At home, she joined her elder sister and was greeted by the presence of a magnificent black Labrador named Midnight, who formed an immediate bond with the newborn. Over the following years, Midnight faithfully accompanied Myra, their friendship growing stronger with each passing day. In early 2014, Erica and Gregory welcomed another addition to their family, and Myra embraced her newfound role as a big sister. Describing Myra's character, her grandmother painted a portrait of an obedient, caring, and remarkably intelligent child, especially considering her tender age of 2. According to her grandmother, Myra exhibited a level of maturity that surpassed her years, possessing a mind seemingly more attuned to that of a 4-year-old. It was a typical Thursday morning on March 1, 2014, when Myra found herself engaged in her usual outdoor play with her sister in the yard. At around 10:30 a.m., Erica stepped outside and informed the girls of her plan to visit the store. She told them that they needed to go inside, wash their hands to rid themselves of the dirt from their outdoor adventures, and remain in the company of their father, Gregory. At that moment, Gregory was occupied indoors, attending to their 1-month-old baby and engrossed in a video game. Having witnessed the girls entering the house before her departure, Erica assumed they were safely inside. With this thought in mind, she proceeded to the store. Sadly, things would be different when she returned. Upon Erica's return at noon, carrying the groceries into the house, she couldn't help but notice the absence of Myra's usual joyful welcome. Confused by her daughter's absence, she turned to Gregory for answers. To her surprise, Gregory believed that Myra had accompanied Erica to the store. Erica promptly clarified that she had seen Myra enter the house before leaving, but Gregory told her that he was sure that he hadn't seen her inside. This revelation left a perplexing gap of an hour and a half during which Myra's whereabouts were unknown. Realizing something was horribly wrong, Gregory immediately dashed out of the house, commencing his search for their missing daughter. His first stop was Myra's grandmother's house next door, hoping that she had simply wandered over there. Regrettably, Myra's grandmother had not seen her at all. Without wasting a moment, Gregory mounted an ATV, accompanied by the faithful Midnight, and intensified his efforts to locate Myra. As time passed and the search yielded no sign of Myra, Erica and Gregory made the decision to reach out to the local police department, reporting their beloved daughter as missing. Unanswered questions lingered in the air. Had Myra entered the house and slipped away unnoticed by her father? Or did she never make it inside, and Erica's recollection was mistaken? Above all, the question that was mainly on everyone's mind would take priority. Where is Myra now? If you are a frequent listener of True Crime Black, you know that we can be critical of the police's lack of response to missing Black children. Thankfully, this case was different. The swift response from the local police force deserves commendation, considering the few hours that had passed since Myra was last seen. Without delay, they initiated a search operation, starting on foot in the vicinity of the home. Gregory, accompanied by Midnight, continued his personal search, hoping that the deep bond between Myra and her loyal canine companion would aid in locating her, even though Midnight wasn't specifically trained as a search dog. Nevertheless, his acute senses might have been instrumental in tracking her down had she wandered into the surrounding woods or nearby fields. As the search intensified, the police decided to enlist the assistance of trained canine search dogs. These specialized canines managed to pick up Myra's scent in the backyard of the house but could not trace it any further. This discovery raised the question, did it imply that Myra had not ventured beyond the confines of the yard, at least on foot? Given the rural nature of the area, authorities made the decision to employ search helicopters, expanding the coverage area in their quest to find Myra. As news spread throughout the community, an outpouring of support occurred, with numerous volunteers joining forces to aid in the search efforts. The collective determination to locate Myra drove the community to come together and offer their assistance. The search for the missing 2-year-old became a matter of utmost importance to everyone involved. Both Gregory and Erica feared that Myra had been abducted and taken away from the immediate area, as there were no traces of her to be found. Law enforcement deliberated the possibility of issuing an Amber Alert, a mechanism typically employed in cases of child abduction. Initially, it seemed that the criteria for an Amber Alert were not met, lacking a suspect description or a vehicle description, which are typically required. However, due to the exceptional circumstances surrounding Myra's disappearance, authorities decided to deviate from the standard guidelines and issue an Amber Alert. This decision reflected the profound sense of urgency felt by law enforcement, as they sought to utilize every available resource to locate the missing child. The public was implored to report any suspicious activity or information that might aid in the investigation. Authorities sought details on unfamiliar or suspicious individuals seen in the small town, any uncharacteristic or peculiar behavior exhibited by acquaintances, or the presence of unfamiliar vehicles. Tips began to flow in, but unfortunately, none of them were deemed credible or directly linked to Myra. Remarkably, even Myra's faithful companion Midnight, the beloved family dog, was reported to have ventured away from the house on multiple occasions following Myra's disappearance. On one occasion, Midnight failed to return home. One can only wonder if the loyal canine continued to search for her cherished companion. Several days after Myra's disappearance, a surprising turn of events occurred as her mother, Erica, was apprehended by authorities. It is important to note that her arrest was unrelated to Myra's case and instead stemmed from a parole violation charge. Erica had previously faced allegations related to food stamp fraud, and now she faced the possibility of additional charges, including being a felon in possession of a firearm, failure to pay court costs, and failure to pay supervision fees. The arrest of Erica raised eyebrows and led to heightened scrutiny of her involvement in the situation. Prior to her arrest, Erica had refrained from making any public statements, which further fueled speculation and skepticism surrounding her narrative. Erica remained incarcerated for a duration of 11 weeks, during which she maintained a notable silence. Meanwhile, the frantic search for Myra continued unabated, with the focus primarily on locating the missing child. Erica's silence during this critical period left many questioning the circumstances and seeking answers. After 10 days of intensive searching, authorities finally received a tip that appeared to hold potential. Strangely, this tip did not originate from within Camden, Mississippi, where Myra had gone missing. The tip came from Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, situated approximately 175 miles to the north in a direct route from Camden, could be reached by a 4-hour car drive. Despite the distance, the significance of the tip could not be overlooked. A motel employee in Memphis made a call that captured the attention of the authorities. What made this tip particularly intriguing was the fact that 3 separate calls were received, all reporting a sighting consistent with Myra's description. According to the motel worker, a young girl resembling Myra was seen at the Discovery Inn in South Memphis. The witness observed the child in the company of an adult male, who she referred to as Daddy. Adding further weight to the tip, 2 additional reports were received from daycare workers adjacent to the inn, providing corroboration of the previous sighting. All the reports received from various sources echoed the same compelling detail: the young girl spotted in Memphis bore an uncanny resemblance to Myra Lewis. Regrettably, by the time authorities arrived at the Discovery Inn, both the girl and the man accompanying her had vanished. The only additional clue available to investigators was the mention of a white car, and it appeared that only the 2 of them were seen together. According to the motel worker, the little girl remained primarily inside the room, with rare ventures outside. The extent of information obtained from the motel, such as registration records or payment details, remains undisclosed by law enforcement, as they have not publicly shared such information. Another intriguing development emerged when individuals noticed a peculiar occurrence in the nearby city of Canton, Mississippi. The flyers that had been diligently distributed were being removed and replaced with entirely different ones. The original flyers prominently displayed the tip line number, while the new versions lacked any contact information whatsoever. The identity of the person responsible for this unusual act, as well as their motives, remained a mystery, as no one came forward to claim responsibility. The peculiar incident of replacing the flyers amidst the ongoing search for the missing girl raised numerous questions and added another layer of intrigue to the already perplexing situation. Camden is a small town with a population of approximately 1,700 residents. The community's rural nature is evident, with properties scattered across the area and ample vacant land surrounding the town. Much of this open land is adorned with trees, providing hiding spots where a child could potentially disappear if they were to wander off. Mount Pilgrim Road holds particular significance as it serves as the residence of Myra Lewis and her family. This road also reflects the rural character of the area, with houses widely separated from one another. Given the considerable distances between homes, it becomes apparent how incidents could occur without immediate notice or how a child could venture away without detection. Along the stretch of Mount Pilgrim Road, one can find several small ponds and creeks scattered throughout the area. Recognizing the potential significance of these bodies of water, authorities diligently conducted multiple searches, combing through lakes and ponds in hopes of finding any trace of Myra. Their efforts yielded no signs of the missing girl. Myra's family maintained a notable silence when it came to interacting with the media and the public, granting only a few interviews. However, it's worth noting that during a significant portion of the early investigation, Erica was incarcerated for 11 weeks. If she indeed had no involvement in Myra's disappearance, this period of confinement must have been a deeply agonizing experience for her. Eventually, all the charges against Erica were dropped, further shifting the focus of the investigation. Upon her release in May 2014, Erica granted an interview with WJTV 12 News, where she pleaded for the safe return of her little girl. She explained her previous lack of communication, attributing it to overwhelming emotions that rendered her unable to speak out sooner. In contrast to Erica's limited engagement, Myra's grandmother demonstrated some activity on the social media platforms dedicated to Myra's case. Interestingly, both Erica and Gregory remained relatively absent from such online spaces. Adding to the growing suspicions, while law enforcement tirelessly pursued the search for Myra, the parents seemed to be conspicuously absent. Not only did they fail to reach out to law enforcement for updates on their daughter's case, but detectives discovered that the parents had moved out of their home without providing forwarding information, further raising questions about their level of involvement and commitment to resolving the case. The whereabouts of Erica and Gregory remained unknown to the authorities, leaving them with no leads to pursue. While there is no concrete evidence implicating the couple as persons of interest, their actions and behavior sparked speculation and discussion among the public. Erica and Gregory have chosen to maintain their silence regarding their daughter's disappearance, refraining from providing any significant updates or statements. Within the local community, Myra's memory continues to resonate strongly. Her name and smiling face remain etched in the collective consciousness of those residing in the area. It is a poignant reminder that Myra was only 2 years old when she went missing and would now be 11 years old, a heartbreaking thought. Local media outlets still report on Myra's case, particularly on the anniversary of her disappearance every March 1st. Sheriff Randy Tucker, who was initially in charge of the investigation when she went missing, remains at the helm of the case to this day, demonstrating a commitment to finding answers and achieving justice for Myra. He had this to say in a recent interview with Dark Horse Press. "She is my case. She is at the top of my list. I've been through hundreds of cases where you see lives destroyed. I've seen an awful lot, and that is the one case that truly haunts my heart. I hope I don't end my career with it unsolved. I'm afraid that I will, but I truly hope that I don't." The Amber Alert for Myra Lewis remains active, making it the longest-running active Amber Alert in the state of Mississippi. Myra was a mere 2 years old when she disappeared and is described as an African-American female, weighing approximately 27 pounds and standing at 3 feet tall at the time of her disappearance in March 2001. Considering the passage of time, Myra would now be 11 years old, meaning she would have significantly grown in size, and her facial features could have undergone notable changes. To aid in ongoing efforts, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has released age progression photos depicting how Myra might potentially appear today. To this day, Myra Lewis is still missing.